Here we are, beautiful Tokyo Bay. Lovely night. The wind isn't too much so I can talk. Back in my day and age, when you went out this time of night looking for some action or during the day, you usually scored, which means you ended up in the sack with somebody else, man or a woman, whatever your preference is sexually. You ended up having sex. But then AIDS, propaganda, higher prostitution prices kind of ruined all that. But it still exists, but not as much, I think. Or maybe I've just been out of the game for so long. So, on that note, tonight, I'm going to talk about the basics about cock block. So that's a slang term for it, is cock block. Basically, when someone else interferes with your action. And so there can be various reasons for doing that, and I will get into specifics. For example, like a lot of times I've had a lot of Japanese men be possessive of their women, being little bullies that they are. And I'm actually talking to a chick, I'm working a deal, I'm getting a phone number, I'm negotiating something and so forth, and they will actually come up and start talking to her and shaming her and trying to interfere with my communicating with her. I mean, that's a lot of guts to come up and you're already engaged with somebody. You're talking to them, you're in a conversation, it's looking good, it's going to be good, and then all of a sudden they come up and they do everything they can to possibly ruin it for you because of the taboo issue, for whatever issues, trying to make you feel insecure and so forth. And then what actually happened to me today that brought me up to talk about this subject, about the block that I've had going on since I've arrived in Tokyo. Other people interfering with my action. Today actually happened. This one staff, I won't get into a specific, two different staff women, I was developing a rapport with, a friendship, just to, what do they call that? Social credibility. So like an alpha male, generally a smart alpha male like myself, an aging alpha male such as myself, you try to build up what's called a social status or social network where you have individuals within your environment respect you as the alpha for whatever reason. Financially, you have social contacts, you have a social credit, for example, you have like another female with you, etc., etc. I'm getting a little bit off, but anyways, I'm trying to establish social credentials with these two women, and not necessarily trying to work them, but just being friendly with them and talking with them and establishing some rapport, right? And then what happened is these two other chicks that weren't part of that scenario, they went off and they went back to their jobs and they're kind of doing their own thing in customer service and all that, and it kind of fizzled out and it didn't go anywhere. For whatever reason, I don't really care, I don't know. I'm moving on from that to something else. So what brings me up to this topic is these two other chicks come up and they're interacting with me and all that stuff, and I can tell these girls are good to go. I mean, I can tell that this action They were a bit younger than me. Okay, that happens from time to time. Not that that's my preference. I prefer women closer to my age, but they were a little bit on the younger side. But if push comes to shove, in all the different ways you can take that, I would partake as long as it's legal, right? So I don't want to end up hanging myself in the slammer like some other people, if that's what happened there. But I wouldn't want to be put in that position. So basically, to cut to the chase, to get to the point, these two girls are like good to go. This scenario is all good, and we're going to end up going somewhere and having some action together. And I can't predict the future, but it looked pretty darn good. Now, one of these women that I established rapport with had the audacity to come up and full out cock block me. So what she did, from what I could tell, what she did from the overall feeling was she instilled fear in these two other girls, from an authoritative, like a cop, like her security, like standpoint. So she basically frickin' messed up the scenario for me with these two other girls and put fear into these two other girls. I don't know whether telling them I'm a playboy or what she did exactly, or I don't know what she did, but she tweaked them. So I had a good scenario going. It was going to work out fine. And then this girl that I developed rapport with backfired on me, and she cock-blocked my ass and ruined it for me. And so that makes me think, just because she's not going to get any action from me doesn't mean she has to ruin it for me. But a lot of times that happens here, and it's happened before in the States. I mean, countless times. Someone like I've had other women do it. They want to interfere with the scenario, like they're not going to get any action from me or whatever, so they want to ruin it for everybody. And you've probably been through this if you're a guy or even a woman. You've been through this before, this scenario where like there's 2 on 2 or the numbers aren't matched and someone's not going to get action, but me, I can spread things thin and work things out and capable of it. I can work deals, right? But she just went out of her way to it's like, and people do that. It's like, well, we're not getting any action. We're going to ruin your game for you. And that's not cool. But it happens quite a bit. And then, I've had other obvious ones, like in the past, where it's like, okay, a deal's negotiated and all that. And it comes down to, it's time to get busy. It's time to get on with the action. And you find out that you didn't have that $100 bill in your pocket, and you only got like 45. And she's not willing to negotiate. You can't talk her down. Some women will negotiate on that, but I've been blocked by that too, by lack of finances. So financially, that has affected me as well in that area. But it's generally been jealous people interfering with my scenarios. So that's a quickie. I could get into depth about my experience here in full detail and a lot more stories. That's just a quick